Was love ever truly sober? Did the scent of ale ever mask the desperate plea for connection? Let's dive into a world where a pint could unlock a secret, and a crowded tavern held more than just gossip. It held the echoes of stolen glances, whispered promises, and the unsettling truth about desire. Forget polite dances and carefully constructed courtship. This is a story of how people found, and sometimes lost, themselves amidst the sticky floors and raucous laughter of medieval England. It began, predictably, with Jack. A name that conjured images of boisterous merriment, and in this particular tale, a man who seemed to specialize in turning ordinary evenings into extraordinary and undeniably messy experiences. We're talking about a high holiday, a designated night for excessive indulgence, fueled by copious amounts of ale. A poem penned by a woman who clearly wasn't afraid to speak her mind paints a vivid picture. Soon he will take me by the hand, and he will lay me on the land. In he thrust and out he drew. By God's death you cause me woe. Not exactly a recipe for a romantic evening, was it? This wasn't about gentle affection. It was about a deliberate, almost ritualistic pushing of boundaries, a willingness to surrender to the intoxicating pull of alcohol, and apparently something far more physical. But it wasn't just a one-off incident. A few years later, a play called The Ordinary or The City Cousina, 1635, a title that alone hints at the potential for trouble, detailed a similar scenario. A great belly caught at a Whitsunel, a festival marking the summer solstice, was the catalyst. And then there was Grace Dives, an alehouse keeper in Exeter, facing charges of attempted procurement. She wasn't trying to sell ale, she was trying to influence it. A quart of brandy, she reasoned, would fuddle a maid into compliance, opening the door to, well, you can imagine. The air hung thick with the unspoken implication, a potent combination of alcohol and manipulation. Now let's be clear, not every drunken encounter ended in scandal. A ballad, Shall I, No, tells the story of a wanton lad and a comely lass named Betty. He took her for a walk, a decidedly undrunken approach, but the results were lackluster. A tavern seemed like a logical next step, a place to feast her with costly wine. But Betty, it seems, had a healthy dose of skepticism, repeatedly answering, No. The wine, it turned out, wasn't a magic potion. But the real intrigue lies in the attempts to force that change. Consider Christina of Markyate, a 12th century saint who, against her will, was subjected to a bizarre form of seduction. Her parents, determined to secure her marriage, arranged for her to serve as a cupbearer at a guild festival. They hoped the compliments and the constant sips of wine would loosen her resolve, preparing her body for the act of corruption. It's a chillingly calculated strategy, a manipulation disguised as hospitality. Then there's the case of Peter Marsh, accused of unwanted advances after a meal with artichokes and wine. The complaint: he tried to pluck her down into his lap and would have put his hands under her coat. A rather graphic description and a stark reminder of the potential for violence lurking beneath the surface of drunken revelry. And here's a twist: women weren't just passive recipients of drunken advances. A fictional account from the 17th century ballad Shall I, No, reveals a woman who repeatedly rebuffed a drunken suitor, demonstrating a surprising level of agency. But the most unsettling story comes from the diary of Ralph Jocelyn, an English clergyman. He recorded that his pregnant maid left him after he'd been drinking, claiming he was the father. Was it a drunken mistake, a calculated deception? Jocelyn's diary offers no easy answers, only a glimpse into the murky waters of marital infidelity and the blurring of boundaries. Court records and popular literature offer a consistent, if troubling, picture. Roughly 10% of women questioned after giving birth admitted to consenting to sex while under the influence. A servant was taken against her will after being fuddled with wine, a virgin was seduced by a drunken soldier, and a man used a promise of marriage to exploit a woman's vulnerability. The legal system, it seems, recognized the mitigating effect of intoxication, acknowledging that a sober mind might be capable of making more informed decisions. But the legal system didn't always protect the victims. French legal custom, for example, recognized that drunkenness could be a mitigating factor in murder cases, but not in cases of incest. A woman who committed incest while drunk faced the same severe punishment as her accomplice. The idea of blaming alcohol for one's actions became a convenient defense, a way to deflect responsibility and avoid consequences. As the poet Robert Banks put it, when man behaves like errant sot, the drink is blamed, the drinker not. The tavern then wasn't just a place for drinking, it was a crucible of desire, a battleground of wills, and a breeding ground for secrets. It was a place where the lines between consent and coercion blurred, where the intoxicating effects of alcohol could mask or amplify the darkest impulses. Consider The Jovial Companions, a ballad depicting a group of men indulging in drunken revelry and inevitably seeking out female company. Or the story of Joan Lowe and her apprentice, who found solace and illicit passion amidst the clinking glasses and boisterous laughter of an alehouse. Even the most reluctant of men succumbed to the allure of the tavern. William Thornley witnessed a married couple engaging in adultery, fueled by alcohol and a complete disregard for marital vows. And in 1630, a man named Peter Marsh attempted to force his attentions on a woman after she'd eaten artichokes and drunk wine with him. The details are uncomfortable, to say the least. But the most insidious aspect of the tavern's influence was its ability to distort reality. Drunkenness provided a shield, a convenient excuse for unacceptable behavior. Men could feign intoxication to justify their actions, shifting the blame onto the demon drink. As Clement Marot put it, Capitaine Raisin wished he had Hoculf's timidity, realizing that a little wine could be a powerful weapon in the hands of a manipulative man. The evidence suggests that the incidence of unreported rape was likely far higher in a society where alcohol could be used to obscure the truth and excuse wrongdoing. The very act of blaming a drunken stupor could be a way of avoiding accountability, a way of silencing the victim and protecting the perpetrator. It's a chilling reminder of the power of social norms and the ways in which they can perpetuate injustice. Was it truly a place of innocent merriment or a stage for exploitation and deception? Perhaps it was both. The tavern offered a temporary escape from the constraints of everyday life, a space where inhibitions were lowered and desires were unleashed. But it also presented a dangerous opportunity for those who sought to exploit the vulnerability of others. And so we're left with a haunting question: could love ever truly be sober? Or was the scent of ale forever intertwined with the bittersweet tang of regret and the lingering shadow of unspoken desires? The answer, it seems, lies buried deep within the annals of history, waiting to be unearthed from the sticky floors and raucous laughter of those long-gone tavern nights. Now let's pose a final, unsettling query. If the scent of ale could mask the desperate plea for connection, what other secrets lay hidden beneath the surface of those seemingly joyful gatherings?